Hello and welcome to the Precise Cricket Podcast. I'm delighted to be joined by a very good friend of mine today, Michael Gould. How are you, Michael?
I'm very well, Matthew. Yourself?
Very well, thank you. So, for those of you who may not be familiar with Michael Gould, Michael obviously, he comes from a rich family of cricketers. His dad being Ian Gould, the ICC umpire. He's played Test cricket for England, coached Sussex and Middlesex.
I did.
But the reason why I wanted to get you on is because obviously I've known you for a very, very long time, which is, 15, must be 15 years now.
It's got to be, at least 15. A young 15, 16
A young whippersnapper. A young whippersnapper in the indoor school. But no, the reason why I wanted to get you on is because the expertise that you have within the game, people wouldn't know how great it is, not just from a playing perspective. So Michael previously played a lot of second team cricket, had academy contract at Sussex, and was around when Sussex had the glory years, the Arsenal glory years. Michael was involved in that in Sussex. He also still plays club cricket. He obviously comes from a family who know a lot about cricket, but also Michael has a great range of knowledge now within the cricket industry, having worked for Newbery Cricket for 10 years.
It is 10 years. In June.
You could get a benefit, mate.
It is. 10 years. It was 10 years.
Should have a benefit, did it for you?
I know. It's been a long time. It's been a fantastic journey, if I'm honest.
It's been eventful.
Very eventful. As you know, Matthew.
I know. So that's why I wanted to get you on, because I think the audience that this podcast relates to, it's not just top end cricketers or wherever it may be. It's just a general overview.
Definitely.
And a different insight into the game, which I'm actually really looking forward to asking you these questions and getting the answers from, really. So let's take it back. Obviously, you're originally from Middlesex, is that correct? Windsor?
Yes, Windsor. Started off at playing for Berkshire as an opening bowler.
No way.
Yes.
I didn't know that.
Bowling outswingers.
No wonder you got a bad back now.
Correct. But I did throw it, so they didn't last very long. And then, just from there, had some really good seasons, sort of 16, 17-year-old. Really, really enjoyed it. It was great fun. And then took it more seriously when I got to, about 17 years old.
Because I remember the first time I met you, I was maybe 14, 15. It was my first year in the academy. So it must have been 2005.
Yes.
And I think it might have been your first year.
First year.
I remember seeing you in the indoor school with long ginger hair, bowling off spin. And that was the first time I met you. We went on of course, this is throwing back the memories.
It's a long time
We
ago.
went on a team bonding exercise.
We did.
I don't know where it was, but it's somewhere in Sussex, East Grinstead way.
I think it's East Grinstead, I think somewhere near there. It was an experience.
That's the first time I met you.
I had very long hair.
And you can say our friendship's blossomed since then.
Very true. This is very true. Can't get away from you,
We
Matt.
can't get away from each other, if I'm honest. We've lived together, we do some work together, we do everything together. But so that was the first time we met, wasn't it?
It was.
You came down from Windsor.
Came down from Windsor.
So how did that connection work for your old man?
No, so basically I was playing it, originally, it would have been my old man trying to have a few conversations, through, when I was playing at Middlesex, doing bits and pieces there.
So you played at Middlesex as well?
When I was
so you went Berkshire, Middlesex. Okay,
so I went from Berkshire, and then I did a little bit of Middlesex.
Yeah.
Only sort of trials and
got you.
nets and things like that, just to sort of see where I was.
Yeah.
Wasn't good enough, to be completely honest. I was nowhere near good enough at that time. Really enjoyed it. It was a really good experience, because the catchment area was obviously a lot bigger, and it was a real good experience to sort of see where I was as a kid.
So what age would this have been? 15?
So 15, 16, going in 16. Just went to a public school, just
nice.
So I didn't get much, coaching or anything like that, and my old man stayed well away from me with coaching.
But as you're saying that though, I think that's the best way to be. Obviously I do a lot of coaching now. See so many parents want to interfere. The best people, or the best... So any parents listening, stay away from your kids basically and let the coaches coach.
Exactly that.
It's so infuriating as a coach.
It is, and also I think Dad as well with that just didn't want to get involved, because he was coaching Middlesex, because he was involved. What he didn't want to be is that parent on the sideline
who knows it all and telling the coach.
Exactly. He didn't want to be there and go. Everyone around that pitch know who he was at the time. Yeah. Go up to him and speak to him. So he just wanted me to get on with it. Yeah. And just said to me, look, if you want to play, you want to play. You go enjoy yourself. You sort of crack on and enjoy it. Basically, no pressure from him, from anyone really. To be fair, just sort of go out, and if you enjoy it and like it, keep going and see how far you go. But
which is brilliant. And that got you to Sussex, and I know you did well at Sussex, and you got sort of an academy contract down here.
Yeah, so sort of didn't expect anything really. To be fair, if I'm honest, it was sort of just.
I'm surprised you could see with that long ginger hair.
Honestly. I think all the stress is
it's long gone now.
It's long gone now. But yeah, no, I didn't expect too much. If I'm honest, I literally was just sort of turn up, see how I go. Had some nets with Keith Greenfield, who's obviously still involved with the club. He was fantastic with me at the time. Fantastic coach, a good guy to me. Really enjoyed, training and everything else like that. That side of it.
But what I want to ask you now is, then, this is from a cricket perspective, trying to make it. You've come from Berkshire. You've come from Middlesex. Obviously, your dad. I know you personally, and I'm touching it too much in this interview, but I know you sometimes get frustrated with people going, "Mike, how's your dad? Mike, how's your dad?"
That's the first thing.
Frustrating, and we've had conversations in the past where it's been, go and call him, and they don't have his number, and that must be frustrating.
Yeah, I think anyone that's got a father that's played cricket, I have full sympathy for, because you are constantly being looked at in a different light.
Especially
you don't get that opportunity almost that, say that someone hasn't had someone that's played the game, for example, or their father's played the game.
So like a blank canvas.
Blank canvas.
Yeah.
They'll look at you in a different way.
Okay.
So the first thing you're thinking, rightly or wrongly, in my mind was, one, am I good enough to start with? Which every kid has that problem.
Of course,
obviously. So my issue was, am I good enough? And then, am I going to be as good as my dad? And then after that thought was, am I going to have people saying to me, which they did all through my youth system, was, you're only here because of your dad.
That's so annoying, isn't
it? It is, but unfortunately you go through that, and I had supporters of Sussex always speak to me about things like that, and rightly or wrongly they not really thinking about it, they just say it, it comes out.
So I suppose I don't really mean it either, but
it doesn't mean it, of course. No, of course it. And when people come into everyone comes to the ground, even now to this day, people come into the shop and they'll go.
So for those of you who don't know, Michael works still at the cricket ground. The Newbery shop is at the ground. So when he says the ground,
apologies.
No, because people know. So the Newbery cricket shop is at the ground, the main store, which is where Mike's based. So he does see a lot of cricketers, and obviously his dad's still umpiring. So yeah, just so you didn't know.
So he'll come in.
Yeah.
People come in and just that's the first thing they want to talk about. To be fair, it's not how I'm doing, it's how your dad's doing, which again, that's part and parcel. I've been since the age of, I'd say 17 when I moved to Sussex. He was more known at Sussex because he was captain,
and he's a big personality.
Enjoys life to the full, and everyone knows him as a character. So it's nice talking about him sometimes, but
of course,
33 years of it is a long time of it.
So going back to, I can't even remember the question I asked you. So obviously coming through that, and people knowing who your dad were, and going through Berkshire, Middlesex, coming to Sussex, you getting thrown into the academy, doing quite well and being around the first team, because I suppose the contracts they had back in those days, if you compare it to football, it was like an under 23s contract.
Correct.
Where you're in and training around, you're getting a small salary, you don't have a name and number, but you're in and around the first team. So I remember when Sussex won the 2007 championship, you were around the first team squad the whole time.
Pretty much the whole season. It was pretty much, I think I did one game where we beat Hampshire, I think it was, I'll be rightly or wrongly if I have to quote me on that one, but we beat Hampshire, and then Mark Robertson was very superstitious and was like, right, you're now going to be 12th man.
But that must have been an amazing experience though.
Honestly, Matt, take out all the cricket I've played.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter how many games I've played, second team or club cricket, or the experience I've had in and around cricket. The experience I had 2007 to 2009 probably.
Yep.
Being around, especially 2007, was speaking to people like Chris Adams, Murray Goodwin, even just throwing balls to them. Because that's all we did. That was what we were at that time. It was.
No wonder you haven't got a shoulder left now.
I got no shoulder, got no back left, because I just threw balls.
Yeah.
But that experience of throwing to Murray Goodwin and seeing the intensity of the way he trained. I was throwing balls of 14 yards at him and throwing it very hard as I could, basically, to knock his head off.
He was unbelievable, wasn't he?
But he was fantastic. But because he overtrained all the time. And that was...
But he didn't overtrain for a long period of time. It was like
no. Short, sharp, get it done. Whereas other players, in that dressing room were completely different. Some people didn't like tip balls, some people did. But just being around and obviously living with Yas Arafat and, training with Yas and, being around him all the time. There's some fantastic players in that time and fantastic just people.
Yeah.
Because in those days, where it's a bit different now, I say those days, I feel like an old man, but coaches, would leave the players.
Yeah.
And then you sort of just crack on as a player.
You find out yourself.
Yeah, you find it yourself, and then let sort of the academy boys throw balls at you, train with you, and they'd help you, and you'd learn off them.
That's gone the full circle now because the coaches are now the facilitators where the academy boys were previously.
Correct.
Do you reckon that's because S&C and sports science have gone mad on that?
Yes, and also I think the way the money in the game has changed and the players have changed as well. Yeah. So it's a lot more, if I'll be completely honest, and selfish. Yeah. Players are a lot more selfish now, where before you'd have the older players which would put an arm over the shoulder and go, look, I think you might be doing this wrong. Yeah. And you can almost accept that because Chris Adams was telling you that. Murray Goodwin was telling you that. Richard Montgomery was telling you how to open the batting, teaching how to open the batting. Your first 10 balls. It was a fantastic turnaround.
So who do you have in here? Chris Adams, Richard Montgomery, Murray Goodwin, Matt Pryor, was he around then?
Matt Pryor was in that team, yeah.
Luke Wright?
And then you had Luke. Well, Luke Wright was on the edge. Wasn't
so he didn't even break in yet.
You think the players that weren't even in that side?
Mushtaq Ahmed,
Zach
Lane Mushtaq,
Jason Lurie,
James Kirtley,
Robert
Martin Jenkins.
Honestly, there was
Yasser Arafat.
But even when you look at the second team, the players coming through: Chris Nash, Michael Yardy, Carl Hopkinson.
Jeez. Well, those three now.
Neil
Nash
Turk.
was just finished at Notts.
Yep.
Yards is batting coach at Kent, and Hoppo is England fielding coach.
They had a great. That group was, I've got to say, fantastic. And that's what I'm saying. Being around that, even
the class
playing,
of '92, Manchester
United. It was.
Sussex is '92.
But even playing second team cricket, it was hard cricket. I don't want to keep just dropping names all the time, but we played a Surrey team that had, I think, 5 England players at one point.
I remember I made my debut in the second team maybe shortly after that. And I was amazed. I was only young, 16, 17. I batted 9 or 10. And I was amazed at the standard. Like, amazed.
Oh, it was absolutely ridiculous. I've got to say, it was absolutely ridiculous. It was
I was
the
actually
best
scared.
stepping. Yeah, it was the best stepping stone though. I didn't. You play obviously a lot more than I did, but in general, to be in and around that second team and seeing how players would conduct themselves to try and make, being a first team player. Yeah. We were playing against players like Jimmy Ormond, Alex Tudor, Chris Tremlett in the Surrey. That's just a Surrey bowling type side.
More. They had the overseas playing against us. I remember.
Sachin Mushtaq played. Do you know what I mean? We had all these
Cameron
players.
Brown played. What other players there? Steve Smith played a few games against us.
He did, yeah. Kent Martin Saggers played for England.
He bounced me out when he was about 17. Caught deep square legs to the boundary. Didn't go down too well.
Sounds a bit like you.
when you've done a winter's work on short ball.
Short ball, we did, didn't we?
And you hit it up.
Spent 6 months in the short ball.
Indoor school.
Indoor school, yeah. But that side, I've got to say, that period of going back to what you were saying right at the start there, to be thrown in almost in the deep end with just, it sounds really silly, like even throwing, like catching practice. You're always under the spotlight. You're so nervous. I was just constantly sweating with a ball in my hand. You had like Matt Pryor keeping, and then you had Chris Adams, Murray Goodwin, Hoppo, and a few others. You think, oh my god, if I throw this wrong, I'm just going to get shouted at.
If you throw it too much to the right, you get shouted at for not hitting the bat.
True.
Then if you throw it too straight, you're going to kill the coach.
Exactly.
Who you're trying to impress.
Exactly.
So you've literally got like not even a 4x4. You've got like a little box to aim at, like a baseball pitcher. They were tough.
It was a tough learning curve.
You can throw knickers under pressure. Yeah. You can throw anywhere at any point.
I think the problem was, I think I was so good at throwing in the nets at people like Muzz. I think I got collared for about. I think I did. I must have done. I think I did 6 or 7 championship games back to back. I don't think I played a game that year.
Yeah, but do you know what you need to do? It's like when you go into the office and someone goes, "Oh, can you make a cup of tea?" And you don't want to, so you make it shit, and then you don't have to do it again.
Exactly.
You should have just done it shit for one game.
Exactly.
And then you were fine.
But no, but I've got to say that, Matt.
Great experience on
it was hands down being around a dressing room, winning a championship. You could never take that away.
Yeah.
Even though I didn't even play a first class game, I couldn't care less, if I'm honest. It was the best experience. Just being around that group. It was like a one big bubble.
Yeah.
Everyone got on really well. We had some fantastic overseas players. Rana and Mushy were possibly the 2 of the nicest guys you can meet. And then obviously Yas came in after.
Was Yas a cold pack then or not?
No, he was.
Did they rotate the 3?
No, because they had the 2, and I think Rana got injured.
Okay. So
and then Yas came in. But
that's how it worked.
Again, don't quote me exactly on that. But it was just a great experience. Just to be around them.
Great.
And that was all we needed to be. And then for my own sake, to be fair, it was just a great learning curve for my own game.
Yeah, definitely. You're around those calibre of players day in, day out. You're just going to learn.
And get better.
Yeah.
You're just going to get better. My problem was the calibre of players that I had around me were far too good. my own.
We had this conversation the other day, didn't we? We reckoned if you were playing now, you would be signed on what you do what you had done in the second team at that point. Or
yes and no. I don't want to live like.
Don't want to quote.
Don't want to quote because it's just. It's one of those things.
You look at the way cricket's gone.
Yeah, of course. You always look at. And I always look now. I think so. I'd love to be involved because I'm obviously still in the ground.
Yeah.
You see the guys and you watch a lot of cricket and you see it. It's a lot different now. Don't get me wrong. It's a lot different now, and the demands of players and the video analysis on players now is completely different. You're getting scrutinised 24/7. And I understand that. But my big thing is I just wasn't good enough that time.
Yeah.
So if I can accept that. That's for me. I can accept that.
Mm-hmm.
Where at the time I was thinking, oh my God, I can get signed. I can get this. I can get that. It was never going to happen. The players better around me. I had yourself, Luke Wells, just to name two batters, who were just behind me.
Yeah.
And in front of me, there's about 6 or 7.
It was tough, wasn't it?
So for me, I'd never go. I should have played.
I remember when I first even got on the staff, I was dropped from the second team game with that strong. I went mad. I'm signed, and you're like, well, yeah, you're not in our best 22 players. In the squad.
I used to bat 6, 7 most
18,
weeks.
19.
Couldn't get a chance.
Yeah, and then you're like, can I go higher? I remember you said, can I bat higher? And they were like, no. You've scored enough runs. They're scoring hundreds in front of you.
You need to average. I think it was like 60 or something to even get a look in.
Yeah.
But look. It's different eras, different times, different everything else like that. So.
Don't know if you can hear the buzzer, but me and Mike ordered the delivery. And it's about 15 minutes too early. So what we're going to do, we're just going to pause it here, and then we'll crack on off with our dinner if that's all right with everyone.
Fantastic.
Right, where do we even begin after that? So apologies there, but the delivery man was a tad earlier, a good 25 minutes earlier.
He was.
It was good though.
Very good.
What do we have? We had a little Persian, little chicken, rice, salad. I got a little extra portion of chips. I won't lie, but it was good. It was good. I'm pretty full after that.
Very full and satisfied. Very good.
We're cleaning the table. So he's watching on YouTube. We're cleaning the table as we go. But right, let's get back into it then. So we're just talking about cricket. You being involved in the first team, or around the first team in Sussex, and then obviously we'll move on now. What I think. For a lot of people, will be not interesting. Hopefully, the whole podcast is interesting.
Obviously,
but the bits of knowledge that I think your level of expertise is second to none. So, from leaving cricket, obviously it didn't work out. I didn't quite get that next step, that pro contract for a number of years. But having been involved in cricket for a long time at a very good level. You still play club cricket, right?
I do.
Which is good. So Mike's on the ground with club players 24/7, knowing what they want.
Yep.
You then got a job at Newbery.
I did. I was sponsored at the time.
Yep.
And it was Neil Lennon at the time, who was the CEO at the time. Great guy. I was sponsored and I sort of didn't really know what to do after I'd finished, as most players don't, unfortunately.
Vouch for that.
Yeah. So that was a real difficult time, if I'm honest. It was quite a challenging time trying to figure out what you want to do next, which, unfortunately every cricketer needs to, hit this sort of reality button, which is very difficult.
It's tough.
And I had a great opportunity. Neil, took me under his wing and gave me opportunities that, most kids and, most players don't get the opportunity. Normally, it's coaching or it's sort of panicking. What do you do?
You did do coaching as well, didn't you?
I love coaching, honestly.
Because when I was playing, I used you as a batting coach.
You did.
So me and Mike lived together for a few years as well. Were very enjoyable days.
Yes, they were.
But I actually used you as a batting coach because I found when I was a player many years ago now. When I was a player, I wanted to go to someone that wanted me to do well first and foremost, and didn't care about what anyone else thought and team selection. So I relied on your trusted eyes. We had a session, I reckon, this summer, at least once every other week or once a week.
Yeah, it's always.
Well.
So
you do like coaching, don't you?
I know, I love coaching.
Yeah.
I felt.
And you did coach, just so everyone knows. You did.
Yeah, I coached. When I finished, I coached a lot with the under 18s all the way down, really. So under 9s.
At Sussex, yeah.
At Sussex.
Yep, so good standard, very good.
So
standard.
I did a lot of the Sunday sessions with some really good coaches, and they're really good to me at the time. And the problem is sometimes when you come straight out of the game, you go straight into coaching.
Yeah.
I did that solidly for 3-4 years of just non-stop coaching while working in cricket and then playing club cricket. It was a lot, to be fair, and that was unfortunate for me. I was almost right expression, but I had too much cricket effectively.
So something had to go, and you enjoy your job and you enjoy playing, so you're not give that up.
Exactly. So I wanted to keep playing, wanted to keep enjoying it, and then sort of work took over my sort of Sundays, Saturdays. I was full on working, and like I said, Neil was really good with me. It was almost like a changing room environment. It was such a good vibe. It was good to learn the other side of cricket in terms of. So I did the coaching side of it, brilliant, loved it. We had some great times. Obviously, coaching yourself, it was really good fun. Doing the highest level and then doing, a club cricketer.
Yeah.
It's a contrast. It's a fantastic opportunity to do everything, and that was I was really lucky with Sussex giving me that opportunity as well. But Newbery side of it was.
So what's your job role now then at Newbery?
So job role now is operations manager.
Chief operations manager. Nothing gets through Michael.
There's many roles within one, if I'm honest. Product design, enjoy that part of it. Doing a bit of accounts as well.
We'll get into that in a bit. So what is operations manager from a cricket point of view? Because a lot of club cricketers will see this and they'll be they'll have a net February, March, April. Might need new bat or gloves. They'll look online. What do they like? They'll go and buy it.
Correct.
But let's take it back in a non-COVID world.
Yep.
Let's say the new kit, the new end range at Newbery is getting released shortly.
Yep.
And they put stickers out and they look really good. Non-COVID world, talk me through the process from now, so October 2020,
yep,
to a new range coming out November 2021. So the 13-month cycle, how does that look? Because I find this really interesting about how much actually goes into it.
So everything really starts even way before October, really. You look in June, July time where you want to obviously sell out of what you've got from the year before. And then we work together as a group, including obviously yourself. Within that, we work together on a strategy on what works well and what we think looks good and what customers will buy. So then you want to effectively do the product design in that first month to sort of 6 weeks.
So what month would that be in?
So you're looking at June.
June, right.
So June, you're doing 6 weeks in June, effectively.
So is this getting samples in or stickers?
Samples in, stickers in, everything, basically. Getting everything in together. And then from there, you want to get the kit in. We get to try the kit out during the season.
So this is, I think, quite a cool bit. So
after the last, effectively 10 years, I've trialled new products every year. Yeah. So if it's the axe handle from last year, the hashtag handle we tried out, I tried that the year before, and it worked really well for me personally. You can then
give feedback to what works well.
to Andy and the team and go, right, this works, this doesn't work.
Sure.
This glove, I don't really like this glove. I like the thumb.
Yep.
I like the palm. And then we give it to a few of the youngsters at Sussex as well, who we're lucky that we work with as well, and go, right, what do you think of this? Or for example, a cricket ball.
Yeah.
Try these balls out in the season. So we were lucky we got James Kirtley as an ambassador. He tries the shoes out. He tries the cricket balls out, just to see where
the product is in relation to
from the top end as a professional to all the way down to a club player, which I'm doing.
So James Kirtley is assistant bowling coach at Sussex.
Correct.
And obviously in one-day cricket, you have to use Kookaburra balls, and in 4-day cricket, you have to use Dukes.
Correct.
But Newbery have developed a ball, which is very, very good.
Yep.
So you give it to him to trial in the nets with the pros, and then get feedback.
Exactly.
And say, right, this is the Kookaburra might be good for this reason, but the Newbery ball is good for this reason.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, exactly. It's the same with everything within the range. You get pads and gloves. From top end to bottom end. You want to be able to trust the product.
Yep.
And does it last?
Yeah.
Because a lot of time, that short window, you have to get the product tested effectively.
So from June or July, when you start doing the product range, to then it being on the shelves in end of November, start of December, realistically, that's quite a short time frame, isn't it? That's 4 months of reviewing the product, getting it done, and then getting it in, which is
That's where all my hair's gone, Matt.
It has. But that is tricky. 4 months. You look at now. Don't get me wrong. Apple, the biggest the company in the world, have more money in the bank than the US government, for God's sake. But they're probably 5-6 years in advance, I presume, for the new phone. And yes, it's technology, and yes, it's a different kettle of fish. Of course. But you compare that even to like a football company or another big sports company.
Even if you look at, for example, New Balance, Grey Nichols, who's basically GM, they lead the way effectively in terms of, you know, pre-making their ranges, you know, almost a year in advance effectively. So people know what's coming and when it's coming, and you know, they've got everything, you know, it's a bigger company effectively. Whereas Newbery's obviously a very small team. I think you forget how small we are. So you've got 7 people effectively running a...
But that's for a cricket company. If you look at GM, they have the darts as well.
They have a combination of everything.
And Grey Nichols have rugby, Gilbert and that. So they're multi-sports, aren't they?
Multi-sports, yeah. We obviously just are...
Pure cricket.
Just pure cricket. Yeah. But the size of the team for a worldwide company, effectively, it's tiny. And that's why, like I said, we have short windows.
That's why you've got no hair.
Exactly. So there's a lot of jobs in one. So, no, but it's really good fun, because I don't think many people have the opportunity to do so many roles in one job.
No, I mean, I speak when I speak to you and sometimes go into the office. So for those who don't know, I still do a bit of business work with Newbery, with Precise. We go hand in hand, really. It's worked out well. I'm on the shop floor, really, to sell products, and I used Newbery products when I was a player, so it works well. But I didn't realise how many jobs you did in one job till I went in there and started speaking to you. It's literally frightening, but it's not just one role. It's an all-encompassing role, from stickering the bats to accounts to getting deliveries out to getting the products in, to trialling the products, to seeing what stickers work, to the list goes on, to dealing with trades, to dealing with everything.
Matt, honestly, that as you know, so you've worked for a period of time, that it's the fun part of the job. Effectively, it's fun as much as it's stressful, and it's fun. It's the same with, you know, the young lads we've got in now, and we had Scott before, and you know, we've got a really good team. And we've had a good team for a period of time, and that's how it works. It's like clockwork, and you know,
it's a very funky clock.
It's a very, very funky clock, but
no, it's good.
It works well as a group of, you know, young men who effectively love the game.
Yeah,
and we've all played. You know, it doesn't matter what standard we played at, but we've all played at, you know, a standard of cricket, which massively helps when people come into the store. So from Charlie, who plays at Blind, who's, you know, great young lads. Scott Lenham, who's, you know, on the academy at Sussex. So some really
these are guys that are in stores that can help customers out.
In stores, customer, and then
which is beauty, because you've got someone who plays a lesser standard, someone who's trying to make it as a pro.
Exactly.
Scott will know what a top end player wants, whereas Charlie might not. But then Scott won't know what someone who plays once a week wants.
Exactly.
Which is brilliant.
And we've got obviously myself, that obviously has been involved in the company for 10 years and played a little bit of second team cricket, and been in around the products for a long period of time. And then obviously Andy, obviously the MD, is, you know, ex Warwickshire, ex Sussex. You know,
nasty fast bowler.
He is a nasty fast bowler, and still got that mentality now.
Yes.
So he's a great guy. And you know what I mean? He's really pushing a good, you know, a young team ahead of him, which is, you know, really exciting. But in general, it's, you know, we're very lucky. Like I said, I'm very lucky as well that we've got this opportunity to do so many roles within one. And
you wouldn't have that in any other job.
No, if I went to Grey Nichols, for example, I'd have one job.
And quite mundane as well.
And that'd be me. I'd be like a sales rep, or I'd be operations manager, and that would be just my title, and that would be me. Whereas at the moment, working in a small team, it's fantastic. Like I said, you can jump into anything, really.
Which is cool. So the kit comes in, you trial it out, so that's the process.
It
goes on shelf December, January.
Yep.
And basically your aim is to try and sell as much of it till end of May, June, and you want it gone by July, so you can start getting the new
fresh again, of course. And
that's how the cycle works.
That's how the cycle works, and obviously the process in between that, obviously, of just the making the kit, which is again a really exciting part, because obviously you get to see, you know, the guys working overseas, and, you know, working with overseas suppliers. It's, you know,
does that have its challenges as well? Getting what you want.
It does. This has got to be the most challenging year, obviously, with COVID. Obviously, with
nightmare, isn't it?
It's a nightmare. So,
but in a non-COVID world, it must be difficult with time zones and
different. Obviously, I'm working.
You do work non-stop.
Crazy hours. Like we have obviously trade companies on Australia, so the time difference is is completely different. China's obviously again completely different. But like I said, Matt, it's all a challenge.
It is.
End of the
It's
day,
a fun challenge.
It's a fun challenge. It's an exciting company. It's had its ups and downs.
Mm-hmm. But that's any business.
Any business that's small businesses. And also, it's nice to still be, around the ground. You see, familiar faces.
You do love cricket. You are very passionate about it.
I love cricket. Don't get me wrong. As much as I probably try and hide it a little bit, but I'm an absolute, badger for cricket. I love it. I've been within cricket, coaching cricket.
Love it. It's good though.
So it's good fun.
But now, what I want to talk, not what I want to talk about, but moving on from that, then you've got the kit in. You know when you try and sell it out. You're trying all the new softs from overseas and whatnot. The bats. Now, yes. I thought I had a lot of knowledge of cricket bats, having played since I was 7, having been a professional who was very picky with their bats, who thought I knew what a good bat was. I was like a fish out of water when I went in there and you tried explaining it to me. I did not have a clue, but my knowledge compared to a club player is I thought I was like the encyclopedia. Then when I come and speak to you, I literally feel like a little embryo in the womb. That's how small I feel. And I feel like you're this big 6-foot giant who's all strong. But cricket bats, right?
Yes.
And this is a very niche topic. But you have to have one when you play.
Correct.
What makes a good bat? Because there's loads of jargon out there. There's loads of fluff. You've been in the industry. You've worked with countless suppliers in the UK, overseas, everywhere. People know you, and when you bring a new product out or you have good bats, you get calls from all over the world. Yeah, because word of mouth spreads quickly.
It does, and the thing is with it, Matt, is there's a lot of myths out there with 20 grain bats make really good bats, or
do they?
Well, this is the thing is when I first started, I was adamant, and I would tell everyone that was what you needed to have, because that was portrayed to me as the myth of 20 grains, 10 grains. The key is the pressing of the bat itself.
So what is the pressing for those who don't know?
So obviously when you're making the bat itself, and obviously the process of going through actually making the bat, and obviously we were very lucky that we had very good bat makers who were showing us, and they do keep their secrets.
Like any good maker.
Exactly. So the pressing was the actual key of the actual bat, and actually working out what was the right pressing. So some companies like to press the bats extremely hard, so you get a long lasting bat, and as time goes on, it softens up. It loosens up and it softens up. Whereas we went for a phase where we had fantastic bats all the time. They're really soft, they ping straight away. But sometimes with that, you can get breakages. Yeah, that's the biggest issue you have, is that fine balance between, do you press the bat very, very soft and you get a great performance,
which is fine if you're a pro, when I can just give it back to you and get a new one
and get a free one.
But
fantastic.
If I'm paying £400-500 and it keeps breaking every 2 weeks,
that's
the fine art of cricket. But what is the pressing process? How does that work? Is it a roller, or is it a machine, or what is it?
So you've got a roller, effectively.
Yeah. Like a big rolling pin.
A big rolling pin, almost, if you want to describe it as that. Yeah. And you're trying to, obviously, again, I don't want to go into too much detail, because obviously I'm not the bat maker, and I don't want to. No. Some people have.
But in the most basic ways, because people listen to this might not know.
Basic ways is obviously you're rolling, and obviously you're pressing the bat as obviously as hard as you can, effectively, to get the maximum performance out of the bat. So obviously you're pressing it lighter, so it's obviously a lot softer. So again, you get performance out of that. Whereas some bat makers want to press it extremely hard,
so
it lasts. But Matt, unfortunately, as much as I'd love to have my magic wand and go right, it's all about, like I said, the willow you're almost given, or you're buying, effectively.
Has that changed dramatically in the 10 years?
Massively, because again, when I first started 10-11 years ago, all our bats had 10 minimum grains on everything, and you think, wow, these.
So if I'm right in thinking, every grain on the bat is a year that the tree's been alive.
Effectively, yeah.
Is that right?
Effectively, okay. But at the same time, I wouldn't say it's exactly that, but in terms of, it's close enough.
Okay.
But the problem is now you're almost re-educating people now, and it's probably going to be a hard thing to re-educate everyone, because you've gone from telling everyone straight grain, tight grain is fantastic to now
two-tone wood as well.
Two-tone wood again. It's again, it's another thing that throws into the mix.
Butterfly bats for stronger
bats. But again, I don't. For me personally, that's my own personal opinion of what I've seen over the years. Butterfly bats for me are,
What are butterfly bats? For those of you who don't know,
it's basically a bat that's been obviously stained effectively, and if you look at it, it's almost got like a butterfly stain.
So there's like a blemish on it.
Blemish on the bat, effectively, and
so it might be darker.
It might look almost like a splashing motion on it.
But you don't think that affects it way better? I don't. I bird agree. I don't. I've had bats that have that on it, and they play beautifully.
Yeah, absolutely, exactly. I've had bats that have been fantastic, butterfly bats. But at the same time, I've had some beautiful halfwood, like heartwood, redwood on one side, and people say if you're right-handed, you need it in the inside.
So redwood's two-tone, is that what it is?
Two-tone, exactly what you say there. But in general, Matt, the problem is you can go through a phase where I've been very lucky because I've been very close to bat makers and very good friends with bat makers. So they've been very good to me in terms of what they've given me.
Sure.
But it's all about personal opinion as well. So I might give you a bat and you might pick it up and go, wow, this is one too heavy for me, one too light for me, and it doesn't feel right. When I might use it and go, wow, I've actually hit a couple of really good balls with this, and I think this is amazing.
So there's so many varying factors.
There's so many varying factors because the way you play and I play is totally different.
Okay. So
I'm very much a front foot bully, and I don't really want to jump on the back foot.
Yeah.
So if I'm playing on slow low wickets every week, fantastic. Whereas if I'm playing for some of the whacker, for example,
don't be doing that.
Yeah, exactly. And the ball's bouncing a lot, and I'm hitting the ball in the area I don't want to be hitting on the bat. Well, it's not going to sound good for me. It's not going to feel good for me. So there's loads of variants that go with a cricket bat, and that's why we always try and advise people to come in to pick bats up. I know the way it's changed, especially nowadays with online and. People can buy bats more direct and don't really pick them up. I'd always suggest coming into store or going into a trade shop where you can actually pick a bat up.
I completely agree.
There's too many people nowadays. It's almost like fast food. Right. You don't want to wait.
Amazon is so easy to do. Just not with Amazon in general.
Amazon in general.
Or the other day I was buying something and I didn't realise I had my card details saved. Clicked it, bought it, and it came straight to me. Next day I forgot I even bought it. But not just Amazon, but that's how quickly it is. You see kids on YouTube and even Instagram. It just instant. It's pro direct. You go online.
Yeah, you go online. You exactly go online. Any shop now has to have an online presence, and it's almost I don't want to say kill that market, but it's such a shame for me personally because you want people to come in and give them that experience and go through 10, 15 bats and have a feel of 10, 15 bats because it makes such a difference.
100%.
Because how could you possibly judge the weight?
Especially if you're paying all that money for a bat.
Of course. If I'm spending £150 on a lower end cricket bat, it's all the way up to a £700 cricket bat.
Use the code PRECISE15 for 15% off. Hashtag not an
ad. Brilliant. So it's a real. I said I always suggest people coming in, 100%.
Don't forget that discount code though. You've got to plug it somewhere in, haven't I?
Of course, always gonna be working, Matt. You know that.
Well, I do.
But yeah, no, I'd always just like I said, I keep harping on about it, and it's a bit old school, but I would definitely suggest coming into store. Not just ours.
Other manufacturers are available.
I know other manufacturers are available, but I was just going into retailers.
But I think that's so good. I think what you said is the kit is realistically gloves are gloves, pads are pads. They change slightly. They do.
True.
Over year to year. They predominantly change, but when you pick a bat up, as you said, it differs from how I play to you. Someone you play and someone else plays. So, parents, if you're listening, kids, if you're listening. Adults, if you're listening, don't be lazy. Book a slot anywhere and go try it in because you do not want to get something online,
Correct.
hate it, waste your money, can't exchange it because you've used it. You're going to spend the money, go in because I promise you, it does help performance.
Massively.
It does help performance. So
Massively.
if you want to perform better, make sure you go and get the proper equipment so you can play properly.
Correct. And one big thing for parents would be, don't buy a cricket bat one size too big.
No, do not.
Always buy the right size there and then. Don't buy a year in advance.
Because as a coach, it's a nightmare. Sometimes I'm coaching and I've got kids who are 5 foot using a short handle.
Correct.
Like, you probably should be a 5'6", mate. He's like, yeah, but my mum and dad said I can grow into it. Now,
Correct.
I do get cricket bats can be expensive.
Of course, 100%.
Use size
I agree,
15
yeah,
for 15% off. I'll stop that now. It's rubbish. But no, even if you can't afford a cricket bat, it's better sometimes to use a bat that's too small.
Correct.
Too big.
Definitely. I'd
So
always
if a parent's saying, "Oh, you can grow into it," just say, "Actually, I'll get it in 6 months' time or a year's time because it is going to make a big difference."
I'd always say is the same when I coached many moons ago was small and lighter than big and heavy. You want bat speed as a coach, as you know. You want bat speed. It doesn't matter how big your bat is. If you've got bat speed and a good piece of willow in your hand, it's still going the same distance.
Well, when I finished playing, I was using a Harrow. That
Correct.
was 2.4.
He was.
That was 2.4.
Correct.
And the amount of wood you could still get. Of course, I was very lucky. I got mine custom made.
Mm-hmm.
But the amount of wood was like at 2.4.
Exactly.
Custom made. Didn't matter what grains, as long as it picked up nicely.
Exactly. That's
it went.
Exactly. That's why I'm saying about coming to the store, you find hidden
I'm only
gems.
5'8.5". See, I got the half in there. but I'm 5'8" and I use the Harrow.
And there's lots of people
now when I pick a short handle up, even in coaching, it's too big for me. But I've been using a short handle since I was 15.
Yeah, but even size of pads and gloves, people get almost this.
What do you use? I'm 5'8". I use small men's.
Yeah, so I'm 5'10 and a half and half in, and I use small senior.
Yeah, so we use the same kit.
So always use effectively. Well, you say it's smaller kit, but it's the right size kit. But because you get to an adult, you think I've got to use adult sizes.
Yeah.
But
you don't buy football boots that 2 sizes too big, do you?
Exactly. So I think people just get in this mindset of thinking, right, I've got to wear, if I'm an adult now, or I'm 16, 17, I'm sort of going into adult size, try to get on.
Do you know the common theme I found is if I'm coaching a group of like 13 to 15 year olds, you get someone who's hit puberty earlier, they've shot up, and there's another kid that quite hasn't, who's still 4'5", and he's like, I'm going to use a short handle because my best mate does.
Of course.
That's the thing that infuriates me, and parents then do it.
I think that's parents. So not so much the child. It's the parents obviously following in the other child, other parents.
And you would have experience in dealing with customers because you're selling as well in the shop.
So many.
If it's a busy day, you're in there on the shop front.
Yeah, so much. Even before that, I was doing a lot more in the showroom, and I was doing a lot by myself originally when I first started. I was doing showroom manager when I first started. That was the biggest problem because I was coaching at the time as well, and you could see it. Kids were dragging bats out. You just couldn't pick them up. I was like, well, you can't really use this. Like, it's fine because we need it for 2 years. 2 years time. It's like, well, you might not get a run in 2 years. So
you're not going to get a run for the next 2 years anyway.
So it's a big thing. Like I said, I keep harping on about it. I keep saying it, but it doesn't matter where you go to and where you're based. You need to go in. Even if you try it in a store and then go and buy it online from that same company, whatever it is, you just need to try it. That's the big thing.
Yeah, I agree. And lastly, wrapping it up, obviously, Newbery have been renowned for, you have dealt with some big players using equipment for different bat makers. There is a picture that circulated with Tendulkar using an Adidas bat.
Yes.
With a hammer edge sheet in it. Does that mean it was a Newbery bat or not? Because hammer edge is only a Newbery bat. So I'm just wondering whether Tendulkar may have got his bats made.
Matthew, you put me right on the spot here. There's been many players that have used, through the early stages.
It's interesting. And the reason why I asked, obviously, you can literally Google Sachin Tendulkar batting in a test match with an Adidas bat, and every bat he has a hammer edge stick on it. But what I'm asking is, do you find... Now, this is me putting you on the spot, I'm not meaning to, but... And I'm not trying to dig myself out of a hole here, but... when I was sponsored by Slazenger, I went and bought Newbery bats.
Yeah, so
Slazenger are no longer in existence.
I think when I first started, I was shocked. I was shocked. We had, at the time, we were using certain bat makers at that time. We were making, probably 8 out of the top 10 world batters that were using particular make. That we're using our bats, but it still happens now. If you look at the England team, with people like Joe Root, whoever it is, they'll be using, UK bat makers.
Yeah.
And then putting their stickers on, which is fair enough.
The company doesn't care because they're...
Of course they don't. So, a lot of companies, again, I don't want to say who, but we made, we had 2 test players that were coming to us on a weekly basis saying, look, we need, 5 or 6 bats. Can you make them?
It's recent.
Not so recent now, but it was, a couple of test players.
Recently.
Recent enough.
Open bracket, close
bracket. We were making for, and it's, we've done all over the world. We've been so lucky. And also a lot of touring teams, like I said, with Tendulkar, obviously when he was touring, when India were touring here, he popped in.
See how he's done that? He hasn't answered the question, but he's subtly gone around it.
Yeah. So he popped in, and then we took him to the factory, and he got some bats made.
But they do that. I mean, even when I went overseas, I went to some of the factories when I was playing with Scotland. You go and have a look at them because I'm actually interested in bat makers.
Of course, no, exactly.
I find it interesting.
I think it's almost like a no-brainer. If you've got an opportunity to go into somewhere and watch someone make a bat in front of you at that time in exactly what you want, that's gold dust.
Absolutely.
But the ones that Tendulkar had originally were railway sleepers.
Really?
Absolutely shocking in terms of looks and how heavy they were. They were £3 one. Picked up like railway sleepers. Honestly, I just couldn't pick them up.
And you go to the gym.
I try to. But honestly, for a bloke who was, I don't know how tall Tendulkar is.
Smaller than me, 5'4".
Yeah, just for smaller than you. I couldn't believe it. I was shocked. I was actually stunned. And you watched him on the short ball, or did watch him on the short ball, and you couldn't believe how he could pick these things up.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, you've had lots of players and some amazing players that have used the brand, and we've always had a stance the whole time I've been there and before. We've not paid players.
Yeah.
So
which is what the big companies do.
Of course. So for people that don't really understand how it works, there's a lot of money that goes into supporting players. That's just not just kit. That's actually paying players.
Physically paying them.
Physically paying players, which is
US dollars.
Exactly. It's
British pound notes.
Exactly, which is as a small
Japanese yen.
as it's a small brand, it's very difficult to.
I think it's a loss leader. I'm going to say it. I think paying players over the long run is a loss leader unless you are a massive company like your New Balance.
Yeah, of course. If you
have, that's where you're going to get the money back.
If you have shoes and you have like Gray Nichols, for example, you have Grays, you have Gilbert, you have all these other funding around your brands. Fair play to them. Fair play to them. You can do that.
You're not going to get your county journeyman selling you 100 bats, getting that money back, are you? In county cricket, when you get 500 people. And 65% are over 65 and they can't see 200 yards.
And that's why you wouldn't see, I'll use the example, that's why you wouldn't see when we had Mason, for example, you had Mason on.
Yeah, we had Mason Crone. You haven't seen that podcast, go check it out. But
Mason
was with the Newbery, wasn't he?
He's always been with us the whole time, and then obviously plays a test match in Sydney.
Yeah, after Christmas. But he was in contract with Newbery to the end of that year, wasn't he?
He was, and then he finished.
So let me get this right. Mason was with Newbery.
Yep.
His contract ran out December.
As pretty much the test match had finished.
And then he was signed with, who did he sign with?
New Balance.
So he went from Newbery to New Balance and played the test.
Same with Joff. When Joff first came over,
Joff was Newbery.
Yeah. With Newbery with us. We looked after him for a period of time, and then once he started getting into the team and sort of getting obviously well known and started doing what he's doing now is unbelievable.
But Adidas came along with a big paycheck.
No idea what it got, but he's always going to move on.
And I don't blame that because as a sportsman, your career's short.
100%. That's something I'll never ever stop.
You've got to make as much money as you can in a short period of time.
Toby Rowland-Jones, he's a bowler, and we had him for a period of time, and then
played for England.
And then Kookaburra jumped on the scene and said, "Look, there's whatever."
Which is fair enough. But the company have always made a stance on pay players, which is
you cannot judge players on that. Unfortunately, loyalty now is
fickle.
It's fickle, and players come and go now with a lot of sponsorship now, and it's expensive. And we don't, and that's why you won't see Newbery. That's why we get a lot of people coming and going, why isn't Newbery this? Why isn't Newbery that? And why are we not, seen on the world stage? Purely because it's just we're not going to fund.
Everyone who would have paid for England this year will be paid to use kit, without a doubt.
Fact.
Absolute fact.
Absolute fact.
And so I'm obviously the cricket circle. You talk. Some of the numbers that these top boys get paid is frightening. But they are the best players in the world for a reason.
Exactly, and that's
like the best players.
So fair play to them.
But Michael, we'll wrap up there. It's been a very enjoyable podcast. I learn more and more every time I speak to you about cricket. It's brilliant. But for everyone listening, I hope you've learned a lot. I have personally learned a lot, and it's given you a great insight into how the other half of cricket works. So, Michael, thank you very much again for coming on.
Pleasure,
and thank you very much.
I see you.